Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a short version podcast talking all things Pittsburgh sports. Although today, we're not going to talk all things Pittsburgh sports. We're actually going to drill down into the Pirates. General Manager Ben Cherington met with the media yesterday. I was one of them at PNC Park for his typical end-of-season press conference, and a whole lot to get into. A little bit of a, spoiler. Didn't love some of Ben's comments, and I'm going to get into that and kind of work through some thoughts I had about some of the stuff that he said. But first, I want to remind you that we're brought to you by Edgar Snyder and Associates. If you're injured in an accident, you're probably wondering what's next. For over 40 years, Edgar Snyder and Associates has helped injury victims answer that question. Whether it's gathering evidence, collecting medical records, or dealing with insurance companies, Edgar Snyder and Associates has helped over 75,000 people handle what's next. Call 1-800-4EDGAR or visit edgarsnyder.com for a free consultation. And remember, there's never a fee unless they get money for you. All right, so I highlighted 6 areas that I want to go through. And being a nerd, I print them out and highlight them and jot down notes. So excuse me sort of referencing that back and forth. But I think the first point I want to start with, there was a question about why should fans expect change, which is a totally fair thing. Ben Cherington sort of started the press conference talking about Andy Haynes, Justin Message. Why do you make those changes? They need to get better faster was a familiar theme. But why should fans expect things to change? You're bringing back Derek Shelton, which Cherington would later confirm. But, what are we looking at here? I think there's clear evidence progress has been made and clearly not enough. We are winning more games. We're not winning enough. And it has to happen better and faster. What I didn't like there, clear evidence progress has been made. We are winning more games. Compared to what? You had 76 wins last year. You have 76 wins this year. That's the same number of games. Are we comparing it to the first 3 years of this regime's tenure? Shouldn't be. Everybody knew what they were doing. You're not trying to win. And it's damning either way, right? Like if you were trying to win, if you're saying we're winning more games, so that's an objective comparison. If you were really giving it everything you had in 20, 21, and 22, and those were the results, that's horrible. Now, that being said, I don't think they were giving full effort. I think there's a concerted plan here, which I don't have any problem with. You're going to rebuild. That makes sense. You're going to do it from the ground up, something the Pirates have really never done. They've always sort of like bobbed along in this mediocre kind of land where you say, we're going down to the studs and we're going to build it back up. But don't try to tell me that we're winning more games than we did in 2021 and 22. Come on. And there's clear evidence progress has been made? Clear where? They're not fundamentally better. They just fired the hitting coach. The farm system has dropped into the bottom third of Major League Baseball. You just removed the international scouting director because you're not yielding enough results, something Cherington also admitted. The trades have not been good. I've written extensively about that. The free agent signings have not been good. What's clear? What is clear? You have a starting rotation that I will give them this is enticing for next season. Paul Skenes, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller, Luis Ortiz, even Bailey Falter, some young pitching coming up. They're set pretty well. I like that. But clear evidence progress has been made. I don't think it's clear enough, and I don't think fans would agree that it's clear enough. All right. So another question. This is my second point. This was about payroll and basically asking if payroll is going to expand, etc. Payroll is just not what's going to drive winning here the most. That's mostly because simply of the structure of the game in a place like Pittsburgh to win. There are other places. There's no place exactly like Pittsburgh, but there are other places that are similar. And if you look at how those teams win and how we're going to win, it's going to be through all those other things we were talking about. I'll shorten it at that point. Some of what Cherington was talking about was, and these are logical things. I'm not saying they're not. Being good at drafting, being good internationally, being good developing players, making smart trades. All fair. All fair. And you know what? Honestly, as much as people fixate on payroll, they're probably more important than payroll. But I sort of bristle at the idea that Pittsburgh is some magical place where only things happen here and they're not applicable to other cities. Look at Milwaukee. They're winning. They're spending more than the Pirates, a lot more than the Pirates. Not that they're, breaking the bank, but, oftentimes you're seeing $50 or $60 million, a bigger payroll. Cleveland spending more than the Pirates. Basically everybody except the Marlins are spending more than the Pirates. That was part of the story that I wrote on Sunday on Bob Nutting. And if you're not willing to make aggressive changes, just sell the team. And I don't really feel any differently about that stuff. But I'm sick of seeing that this is some sort of like special place. That there's just, because of the situation here, well, in Pittsburgh, only in Pittsburgh. No, Cleveland can win. They're in the playoffs. Detroit can win. They're in the playoffs. I mean, granted, Detroit's a different, market size-wise than Pittsburgh. But, I mean, they've done a lot of the same things. They've just done them better. But if you look at a lot of similarly situated markets, easy for me to say, it's about the same stuff. And the Pirates haven't done that well enough. And it's not just payroll. Anyway, going to take a short break. We have our usual message from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Going to be back on the other side with more thoughts from Ben Cherington's season-ending press conference.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
And welcome back to First 10. I'm your host, Jason Mackey. We're here Monday through Friday, about mid-morning, about 10 minutes, something like that. Thanks so much for checking us out. We normally talk about everything, but today drilling down on the Pirates because I was kind of energized about some things going on there. There was a question yesterday about Martin Perez, and this seems a little bit odd, but I think it's an applicable part of what's going on here, and I just found Cherington's answer interesting. At the time, we felt in order to execute the plan that we wanted to execute, the trade was an important component of it, so we included it. We weren't looking to get rid of Martin Perez necessarily, but in the portfolio of what we were trying to do, it fit into that and allowed us to do what we wanted to do. Did they dump Martin Perez for salary reasons? Was that a way you could add Isiah Kiner-Falefa by sending salary out? Sure reads like that to me. Maybe there's something there. Cherington didn't elaborate on it, but it sure sounded like they were sending money out to bring dollars in, which stinks. Again, not all about the payroll, but that's an interesting equation. I asked Ben Cherington about Andrew McCutchen. Andrew has said multiple times he does not intend to retire. He would like to continue playing here. Didn't know what his final stats, around a 750 OPS, something like that. Don't need to tell you about his popularity. Obviously a productive player. So what did Ben say? We've said before, and I'll say it again, I'd love to find a way for Andrew to finish his career in a Pirates uniform. I said, we'd love to find a way for Andrew to finish his career in a Pirates uniform. That's as far as we've gotten to this point. I haven't had a chance to talk to Andrew since the season ended. I expect I will, blah, blah, blah. All right. Why is the answer not just yes? If Andrew wants to play, if he's productive, if he's relatively healthy, we'd love to find a way for Andrew to finish his career in a Pirates uniform. Notice that's not committing to 2025. I found that curious. It's very easy to say, yeah, obviously things can change throughout the offseason, but Andrew wants to play. We want to have him here. I don't anticipate any hiccups there. Not a hard answer. And if Kutch decides over the winter, I don't want to play anymore, everybody will respect that. That's no big deal. I just don't know why it's not said, yeah, we expect him to be back next year, barring some unforeseen changes. Not sure what's up with that, but we love to find a way for Andrew to finish his career in a Pirates uniform. Are the Pirates going to try to talk him into retirement? I don't know, but that possibility was left open by reading that quote. All right. One of the other things here, it was about free agency that I didn't totally understand. One of the things this year kind of clarified for me is that while relative to free agency trades is that I think our approach to free agency, the last two off seasons and sort of the overall results got from that have been fine. I read that quickly. Free agency and what the Pirates have done in it have been fine. That's from the general manager. It hasn't been fine. It actually hasn't been good. I've written about this. $37.5 million spent on 8 players acquired via free agency or trade this past offseason. They netted 1.3 WAR, according to Baseball Reference. Andrew McCutchen was responsible for one of those. That's not enough. That's not fine. That's bad, actually. It's almost like the first step in fixing a problem is admitting there is a problem. And that comes down to my last and final point about the hitting philosophy. I think it's much more about consistency of messaging, consistency of following through, clarity, simple clarity. What are we trying to improve and how are we trying to beat this pitcher? And that's a lot easier for me to say than it is to do every day. But I think it's more than a brand new philosophy. I think we figured out a lot about what leads to success with hitters at the major league level. We're not going to move off of that. Okay. We figured out a lot about what leads to success with hitters at the major league level. You just fired your hitting coach. How much have you figured out? That was surprising. And yes, their philosophy very much needs to change. I wrote about that yesterday in my column. I think that might be the biggest thing they need to change. They talk a lot about a player-centric culture. A player-centric culture is not having a one-size-fits-all approach for everyone. A player-centric culture is reaching each player where they are. Don't treat Kutch the same as O'Neal Cruz or the same as Jack Sawinski or Isiah Kiner-Falefa or whomever it is or Joey Bart. Have an individualized plan. Some guys are more aggressive. Some guys do better working late in counts. It's just that quote reads to me, and sitting in PNC Park yesterday listening to it, almost like we're not going to admit there's a problem. We're not going to admit there's something wrong here. We're not going to admit that things aren't going well. Like, you're retaining the manager. You're saying we just need to get better faster. Like, yeah, you need to get better. I agree with that. We need to do it faster. I agree with that. But there's almost like fans are really frustrated and fed up with what's going on right now. And it doesn't seem like those thoughts are echoed on the inside. Maybe they are. I mean, certainly I'm not going to make a decision over all this stuff based on 45 minutes. But I thought that there may be more, how can you say it? Comments that would align with the frustration that exists on the outside, if that makes sense. All right, I'll wrap it up for today with that. Thank you very much for checking us out. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of these videos and much, much more on our Post-Gazette YouTube and podcast network. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Thanks for watching First 10, everybody.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.